Hi, this is Nick Lalonde, your host of What's Next, making your third act your best act. Today you're going to hear from Gary Freund. Gary has been a consultant in the hospitality industry since the 80s. When I asked him what work provides him other than money and financial security, he summed it up with joy. Gary is 77 years old and has no plans of stopping work ever. What stuck out to me in my conversation with Gary is that he doesn't want to be bored. He loves to learn and keep his mind active. He chooses to teach, consult in hospitality, and serve on boards to expand his knowledge and lend his expertise to solve complex problems. Be sure to listen in when Gary mentions how his high-achieving friends choose to spend their time in retirement. I hope that you'll enjoy my conversation with Gary as much as I did. Today, I'm really excited to have Gary Freund on the show with us. Gary, thanks so much for being on here.
Nick, it is my pleasure. I look forward to our conversation, and the topic sounds fascinating and interesting.
So, Gary, I was super excited to have you on the show. I have you down. I mean, I know in a prior conversation, you mentioned to me that you're 77 years old. I would say that you have tapped into the fountain of youth. Whatever you're drinking in the water, I don't know if that's a Bay Area thing, but I want some of it. um, so I'm curious. Most people, when they think about retirement and they think about what's next and making a change away from their career, they start that conversation and that internal dialogue most of the time in their 60s. You're 77 today. Why have you chosen to continue working?
The easiest answer is because I enjoy it. I am, I do not have a 40-hour, 7-day or 5-day a week job, 40 hours a day or a week. So I can sort of create my own time schedule. I teach part-time 2 or 3 days a week on a very part-time basis. And in the consulting aspect of it, it is, my organization is fairly, uh, it, it can work on its own, so to speak, because the men and women that work with me uh, have been in this business like myself in the hospitality industry for a long time. So it's just easy for me. I enjoy it. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. And in the educational aspect of it, uh, it's a university that's here in the Bay Area, and I love talking and working with students, especially those they have these exploring minds. Uh, and while I am not the expert in what they may or may not want to do, certainly I can assist them in maybe giving them a focus to a certain aspect of what they might feel they want to do, or explain my industry, hospitality, culinary tourism, because our industry needs fresh new talent every day.
Today, it sounds like you're working in a consulting capacity to the hospitality industry, and then you also teach at a local college nearby. How many hours a
Correct.
week are you spending doing both?
Um, my teaching, I will teach 2 to 3 hours a day, 2 to 3 days a week. On the consulting, probably 20 hours. But the other thing that keeps me active is I am and have been on many advisory boards, volunteering boards for primarily career education, both for high school students and for university students. I chair a board for our local school district and for my university and our Department of Hospitality. So that keeps me active. Not that I'm spending a great deal of time on it, but it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, if I heard you correctly, it sounds like work, which would be the consulting and would be the teaching, maybe makes up 25 to 30 hours in any given week. But you also serve on multiple advisory boards. At what point did you start scaling back? What age did you start scaling back from a full-time schedule where maybe you were working 40 plus hours a week?
I would imagine 10 years ago, when The consulting was more. The company was smaller. I had to do a lot more. Right now, it's more a matter of farming out to others whatever projects or clients we pick up, or recurring clients. So my role is more of an advisory role to my team. There are some clients that I will go to physically just because I know them well, and they're in locations I enjoy going to.
How did you choose that 25 to 30 hours a week that you're working today? It sounds like maybe at age 67, 10 years ago, you said, hey, I'm going to scale back from 40 hours. But why did you decide on the amount of hours that you're working today?
Our business got bigger, and I had to do more. So therefore, more individuals uh, were hired to pick up a lot of this work. And I saw that it was easier for me to be more of an umbrella as as compared to a spoke in that wheel. Uh, and so I don't think it was uh, I've always taught part time. The university aspect, I've never done it full time. I never thought in all the years that I would ever be a university professor. And I'm not a professor, I'm just a lecturer. Um, but in the areas that I was in the management in hotels, it is a teaching experience. So I always had that in me. Uh, and then I got very involved with the boards. I was on uh, an inter or national advisory board for career education, which uh, was in many schools. We had over 100,000 students nationwide that were part of these academies. I was on a statewide board in the Restaurant Association, and then here in San Francisco, I was, it was all career education for our local school district and for our university. Also, I helped create the hospitality component of what our university did not have. And that was about 18, 19 years ago. I helped write the curriculum for it.
Wow. Yeah, most people just scale back and they cycle from work to play in retirement, but you actually filled up maybe the extra time you would have spent consulting in the hospitality space, serving on boards. I'm
Right.
curious, are you planning on working indefinitely?
Yes. That's a fast answer. The answer is yes. I don't see myself um, stopping and staying home. I enjoy what I do. Sure, there's going to be a limitation, whether it's health issues, whether it's age, mobility. Right now, knock on wood, I don't have any of those. Age I have certainly, but I don't consider age to me is just a number. And so um, when I can no longer function at a certain aspect of it, yeah, then I'll have to cut back. But
Mm.
until that time comes, I don't see any reason why I should.
You mentioned stopping and staying home. Why would that not fit your ideal lifestyle?
I enjoy being out and about. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy, whether it's going shopping with my wife, whether it's going on a trip, whether it's visiting my granddaughters. I have a son. Whether spending time with the family. That's what I enjoy doing. I do not have any friends, nor does my wife, who are homebodies.
Mm.
All of our friends are active in some way, shape, or form, and that activity is not that they're running a marathon, but they're doing things. Whether they're playing bridge or they're playing tennis, or I mean, I've got an acquaintance. He's 95 years old, and he still plays doubles, tennis doubles.
Mm. Mm.
So it's I guess my parents lived. My dad was 99 when he passed away. My mother was in her mid 90s, And they were always very active. And so I guess those that genetically that sort of come onto my within the scope of my body.
Hmm. Do you think staying active and, doing lots of activities contributes to aging well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not just the health. You know, uh, I'm not an expert in health, certainly. But I'm quite certain that it assists with your health as an overall, uh, you know, how your health is by staying active, eating the right kind of foods. And I'm not perfect at that. I do not always eat the right kind of foods. Um, but yeah, I mean, activity blends uh, very well with healthiness and uh, the aging process. I'm assuming. I mean, look, I'm not able to play singles tennis anymore. Uh, I won't say I'm not able to, but I haven't, and I don't want to try. Uh, Doubles is great, uh, but I think if your mind can keep active and your body keeps active, it in the long run can helps with your health aspect.
So I'm curious then. I mean, it sounds like you guys have lots of friends that are very active. Sounds like you and your wife are very active. Why would you not just step away from teaching and the consulting and maybe the boards altogether and just travel full time and, um, you know, focus on some of these other hobbies and interests that you have? Why are you still working in some of these different capacities and want to continue doing that?
Uh, Sort of been there, done that. Uh, the traveling has been a lot. Right now, we're comfortable doing what we're doing. I don't need to go on cruises. I don't need to, uh, you know, go. There are probably some places, and I'm not saying that we would never want to do it. Uh, Literally, for this year, I don't envision us doing something unless it's maybe towards the fall of going somewhere. We'll take trips to LA. We'll visit our son. Uh, we'll do things. Not maybe go to New York, maybe do something of that nature. But I don't see us doing currently any overseas trips or anything of that nature. As far as stopping the rest, I don't see myself stopping what I'm doing. And nor is my wife. My wife has a lot of friends and she's out and
Hmm.
about. Uh, whether it's lunch or you know, going to our various museums or whatever over the course of the year. Uh, we're
Hmm.
very comfortable what we're doing now.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything that would scare you about just quitting work cold turkey? So let's say you did step away from the teaching and the consulting aspect tomorrow.
The only thing I could see that would force me to step away would be health issues.
Hmm.
So, in a manner of speaking, sure, I'm concerned about my health. I'm concerned about staying as healthy as one can, uh, and so that would concern me. But as far as anything else that would scare me, no.
Hmm.
Uh, I I just don't want to be bored. I guess that's the easiest way of saying the easiest answer.
Hmm. Hmm. So if you stepped away from work, you feel like it's possible you could be bored.
Yeah, maybe bored is not the right word, but yes, I need to be active in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's physical activity, mental activity, I don't know what, doesn't matter. But if I'm staying home, what can I do? I've got a large garden, but I'm not, uh, in earlier days, I would do the gardening. Now I have a gardener, but uh, I, there's only so many books you can read. There's only so much TV one can watch.
Hmm.
And, uh, if you're not focusing on being active, I believe in my mind that it will cause some health issues,
Hmm.
whether
Hmm.
it's physical or mental.
Hmm. Hmm. Now your work isn't terribly physical today, correct?
Correct.
So when we're talking about staying active and what work provides you, are we talking about more mentally active?
Mentally active. I mean, physically, when I go to the university, I will park my car about a quarter of a mile away from my office. In other words, I'll use a parking lot that is not near. I mean, yeah, there's a parking lot outside of my office, so I will physically walk to the as much as I can, and I will try to do that on a weekly basis. So that keeps my mental, uh, my my physical stamina up to some degree. Um, and again, that's what the doctor says to do: keep active.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's the mental aspect really that you're grabbing from work today. So if you were staying at home, and you were gardening or reading books or watching TV, or maybe even visiting museums, like you mentioned previously with your wife, or potentially traveling, you feel like those activities would lack mental stimulation?
Yes, to the degree that I currently have. I mean, I enjoy solving problems. Uh, I'm not talking about mathematical problems, but I enjoy solving operational problems. And by teaching, by talking to hoteliers around the country, uh, it keeps my mind as young as it possibly can be, because I do enjoy learning about new areas of what my industry can offer. And technology is something that is, um, I enjoy learning about new technology. That's one reason I'm teaching this course called Business Culture of Silicon Valley. It's not necessary. It's not me teaching. It is me uh, having guest speakers speak to my students. Uh, in about 2 weeks, I will have, and I do this about 4 or 5 times a year. I will have students from Japan on Zoom, and I will teach a 2 hour class to them. And they are with me for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I had a group from Brazil that we had for about 4 weeks, and I will have them 2 days a week, 2 hours a day. Uh, but instead of me talking to them, it'll be uh, user experience engineers from Google, from Facebook,
Mm.
from Hitachi, from Netflix, Apple, and I will learn from them in addition to what the students are learning from them. And I love it.
Sounds like an amazing class. I mean, good way for anyone to
Well,
learn.
these are,
And
yeah, these are the international students are all at universities around the country, around the world, that have their classes in English. So uh, it's not that difficult. I do not speak. I speak a little German, but I do not speak Japanese or Portuguese. It's the case in Brazil, uh, but they speak English quite well, and so they can listen to these men and women talk about their jobs, their experiences, how they got to where they are, uh, show off what these tech firms can do. Uh, this next course or the next class I'm going to be doing, we're going to do a lot of various, I'm going to have speakers on different aspects of AI.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm learning.
Mm, mm. So there's a question that I'd love to hear your answer to, and I did not come up with this. Denise Logan is really a consultant to a lot of business owners and high achievers, and she helps people transition from work to potentially life beyond that. And that could be additional work, or it could be, transitioning to no longer working. But the question she always asks her clients is, when you think about your work, what does it provide you outside of money and financial security? So what does it provide you outside of money and financial security? And today, what I've probably the number one thing that I'm hearing that you really derive from your work is mental stimulation, right? That's something that you can't get really anywhere else in the activities that you've mentioned outside of, teaching and the consulting aspect. And You're learning about technology, which is ever changing and very new, and you're in the hub for technology. What else do you feel like work provides you other than money and financial
In one
security?
word, I guess the answer is enjoyment. I enjoy
Hmm.
what I'm doing. I always have. I enjoy this business. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's challenging, and you put all those together for me, and it comes up to enjoyment. As I mentioned
Wow.
before, I enjoy solving problems. Enjoy giving advice to individuals that might be learning, as in case of students, or uh, new managers, as in case of training uh, individuals, enjoying working with students on how to get a job, how to interview, how to write a resume, how to dress. Uh, so I come back to that one word, enjoyment.
Have you always enjoyed your work?
Yes.
And you've been doing this
I
for how
mean, I
long?
may not enjoy every single day that happens, but absolutely in my opinion, it's the best industry in the world.
Wow. And how long have you been in the industry?
Since the 80s, so 40 plus years.
So for our listeners, if they wanted to work until they were 77, is the secret to finding joy in your work?
Yes. The secret is to be working in something that they never say to themselves, God, I don't want to come into work today because what am I going to do? I'm tired. Yes, I'm going to go to, there are days I'll wake up and I'll say to myself, hey, I don't want to go in because it's raining outside or whatever the case may be. Uh, but then once I'm there, it's that stimulation
Mm.
of being surrounded by uh, individuals that are there to learn. And I am in a position to help them learn. Now, I'm not saying that I am know it all. I certainly absolutely do not. And that's one reason why I keep learning so that I can pass on as much as I can. Our industry, the pandemic hurt the hospitality industry, certainly in our area, a great deal. Hotels were closed, and when restaurants, hotels were laid off. Um, we're still in the process of looking to hire. When I say we, I mean hotels, certainly in California as well as around the world. Uh, and so, but the hiring is you want to hire men and women that want to be a part of the industry, not, you don't want to hire somebody just because they want a job. You want to
Mm.
try to hire someone because they want to be, or at least they think they want to be a part of the industry. So it's up to us to educate them as to how what the industry is all about. And I don't think that's just for the hospitality industry. I think it's any industry whatsoever.
Mm. Mm. So I'm curious, what percentage of your friends and acquaintances are retired and not retired?
75 retired, 25 not.
And for the 75% retired, why did they choose to retire?
Sold their companies, uh, health issues, physical issues, uh, or they were, they did what they wanted to do. They had uh, a sufficient bank account and they could afford it.
Hmm. But if you had, let's say, $1 billion handed you to tomorrow, you would still teach, you would still probably consult. Is that
That is
correct?
correct. And I'd probably do as much volunteer work as I've done in the past.
Hmm. So for the high achievers like yourself, the ones who have retired that maybe sold a business and have chosen to stay retired, how are they filling their time today?
Exercise, walking, taking senior classes. We have a number, the universities around here, University of California, Stanford, to have courses that are non-credit courses for seniors. Various professors and experts in various fields will talk about whatever the case, whatever the subject is. It's a matter of, and also spending time with friends, going out to lunch, having dinner, playing golf, playing tennis to the extent that they can. But again, it's not a matter of staying home every day.
So these people are actually taking classes that are non-accredited courses just for fun?
Exactly. Well, I don't know if the word is fun, just to learn. I mean, similar, the concept when, my business, my Silicon Valley classes, I will actually go out and try to find speakers on areas that I have curiosity about. Virtual reality is one for me. And so I have a speaker that has not spoken to my class. I've been doing these Zoom calls we've been doing now for since just before the pandemic started. And with the pandemic, the university got very big on this because we had remote learning. And we could not, immigration was hard to come into the US and to get the kind of student visas that were required. So our marketing team went out and hit some universities throughout the world. And so that's how we acquired this new student population. Then we came to find out what do they want to learn? What do they want to hear? Why would they want to take a course on Zoom? What is it that we have in the US? What is it that we have in the San Francisco Bay Area that they do not have in Tokyo or Sao Paulo or Beijing? And in many cases, it was Silicon Valley.
So for the people that are retired, are these classes, is this the only way they're learning or finding mental stimulation?
No. I mean, look, they're I don't know if it's the only way, but certainly conversations, lunch conversations with friends, whether they politically have the same ideas or differences. A couple of them enjoy heated discussions about the politics in the U.S. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you have your ideas, your thoughts, and they like to have discussions about why is this good and why is this bad.
Gary, this has been a lot of fun today. I do have one more question for you before you wrap up. And this is a question that I ask everyone who comes on the show. So knowing what you know now, you've been doing this since the 80s. Is there anything you would have done differently in your career?
Probably I would have started the volunteerism earlier than I did, because I've gotten to a point where when I mentioned both high school students and college students on career education, it is so vital, certainly for students. You talk about middle school students, kids that are in the 7th and 8th grades, going into various high schools. So here in the Bay Area, we have, in San Francisco in particular, we have high schools that are that offer courses in construction, in hospitality, in culinary, offer courses in finance. And so a student will take a course in that. They'll be enrolled for one class period a day each week. And so what we began doing a number of years ago is allowing middle school students to understand the complexities of what careers are all about. Not just what their families do, but what it's like to be a fireman, what it's like to be a police officer, what it's like to be a chef. And so there are no classes in that, but we expose them on various guest speakers and field trips.
Mhm.
And I would have liked to have done that probably sooner than I started doing that.
Mm. I've always been told that volunteering and philanthropy is often the most selfish thing that you can do for yourself because you almost get out more from it than what you contribute, right? I mean,
I
it's
agree with that completely. Uh,
so well
y- y-
said, right? Volunteer
it's
earlier.
and it's also, again, that word, I use the word enjoyable for the other. It's fun. It's fun to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Well, Gary, this has been a ton of fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too, Nick, and it was a pleasure meeting you.